Hello to everyone in the Holy Trinity Greek Orthodox Cathedral community and all of our friends. This is Father Jonathan. I hope you're doing well. Today we're going to finish our conversation, our reflection on the fourth Beatitude. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. Today we'll talk a little bit more about satisfaction. And I think a lot of us can understand what it's like to long for something. I'm sure in the midst of everything that happened during the pandemic, we were longing or hungering and thirsting for connection, for community, for our routine. And a lot of times we find ourselves hungering and thirsting so much that we're always trying to fill a void. We're hungering and thirsting to fill a void that it seems like we can never satisfy. Sometimes we try to fill it with stuff, with things, with the latest and greatest electronics, with toys and trucks and cars and big houses and trips around the world and all of these things, because we're hungering and thirsting because we are dissatisfied. We always long for something more. We find ourselves incapable sometimes of being satisfied. We get the new thing and it's not a new thing anymore. We go on that trip, which we've been waiting for, and yes, we have the memories, but it just didn't fill that void. I'm still hungering and thirsting for something more. And if we are called, and this is tying back in with the Beatitude, if we're called to hunger and thirst for righteousness, and as we've said in the previous video and other videos, to hunger and thirst for righteousness is to hunger and thirst for God's will to be fulfilled in the world. And that fulfillment is union with Him and one another. Well, what we're longing for, hungering and thirsting for, perhaps it's not going to be found in things or trips or toys or experiences, at least not worldly experiences, but we're going to find it in communion with God. We might find that all of these things that we're doing to fill perhaps a void in our life because we feel incomplete, perhaps doing what we're doing in acquiring all these things or doing all these experiences is going to fill that void, and we'll finally find ourselves in the midst of this, or we'll be satisfied because we'll have everything that we need. I would say that perhaps we might consider that there is really a void in our hearts that we're hungering and thirsting to fill, because we aren't our true selves. Because, as we've said in other videos, our true selves are us in communion with God and our neighbor and the rest of creation. Ourselves authentically expressed is ourselves in relationship. And in fact, perhaps we don't even really exist except in relationships. And in this, I'm reminded of a story from the lives of the Desert Fathers, where there was a monk who had a rule of prayer, and that rule was to live in a cave by himself, never to be seen by anyone else, just staying in prayer. But another younger monk heard tell that there was a great mystic, a saintly person, living in a cave not too far away. And so the younger monk goes to find him, and he stumbles across the monk who was choosing to actualize himself as a person in total solitude, never seeing another. And he chided the younger monk for messing up his rule of prayer, because he was never supposed to be seen by another person. And the younger monk says to him, yes, but if you're never seen, do you really exist? And this speaks to a reality that anytime we try on our own to find ourselves, to satisfy ourselves, satisfy our needs, our wants, our desires, we try to fill the void that's natural to our life with something other than what is permanent, something other than God. And by extension, our relationships with our brothers and sisters, but healthy relationships with them. We're going to find ourselves dissatisfied and not ourselves, not really. And so part of hungering and thirsting for what is right and to be satisfied in that is to recognize who we are really is ourselves in communion with God. For to hunger and thirst for righteousness is to hunger and thirst to do God's will, which is to hunger and thirst for union with God and the rest of creation. And that is how we will be satisfied, when we find ourselves in communion and not division, in relationship and not in isolation, in unity and not in individuality, though we can be unique and unrepeatable. So hunger and thirst for communion with God and with our neighbor and the rest of creation. And you will be satisfied. And you won't have to look for satisfaction in fleeting things that won't last. And you won't be pursuing the next new thing. God bless you. We're here for you. We love you. Don't hesitate to reach out. Call us, email us, leave a message in the comments section, send us a message on social media. Anything at all, we're here for you. God bless you and have a beautiful rest of your day.